Hi, my name's Steve Carlson. My presentation today is going to be on superintendent and school board relations. Before I get into a review of a recent school board meeting, some background information that might be helpful. I work for the Sandusky Community School District that's located in Sanilac County. It's a rural county in the thumb of Michigan. We have a first-year superintendent. He's a veteran administrator and a veteran educator, but this is his first year in our district, and it is his first superintendency. By contrast, we have a very veteran school board. We have 4 members with over 8 years of experience, and all of our members have at least 2 years of experience. We have 2 incumbents that will be up for re-election in November. My understanding is both intend to run again, and based on past practice, I find it unlikely that anyone will run against them. Typically, we only have contested board seats when there is a known vacancy. When incumbents run again, people around here typically don't throw their hat in the ring. Our school board meets at least once a month. The regular board meeting is scheduled for the third Wednesday of each month. Of course, there are circumstances that arise that require special meetings. I would guess on average there's probably something like 15 to 18 actual school board meetings each year, with a number depending on individual needs. There are various committee meetings, and I don't list all of the committees of the school board here, but the 4 that seem to require the most meetings include the Building and Grounds Committee, the Finance Committee, the Personnel Committee, and the Co-Curricular Committee. Our most recent board meeting was February 21st, 2018. I attend most board meetings in my role as high school principal. This board meeting was on the short side, which was kind of nice for getting home early, but didn't give me as much to talk about in this presentation. But that's okay. 41 minutes was this meeting. A typical board meeting is probably closer to an hour. A long board meeting, once we get to about an hour and a half, that's when we would consider it to be going long. The agenda for this board meeting was identical to any other agenda we have. We have a student staff recognition, we have public participation, we have a consent agenda, we have communication to the board, then the administrative reports, and then the action items. The 2 things in most board meetings that will determine if it's going to be a shorter board meeting or a longer board meeting are public participation and the action items. In this meeting's case, there was no one from the public that wished to speak. I believe there was only 2 members of the public that attended the meeting. Neither asked to speak. And the other thing that can make a board meeting go a little longer is the number of action items. And in this meeting, we only had a couple of action items. We had to hire our spring sport coaches, officially approve their hire, I should say. And we had to approve the board's nominee for the Friend of the Youth. It's an annual honor given by most schools in our area. The Friend of the Youth goes to a meet of champions, track meet of champions later in May, where they're all honored before the track meet. So it's a really nice honor, and our board approves who our annual Friend of the Youth will be. One aspect of looking at the superintendent school board relations for this presentation was to look at how the superintendent educates the board. And in this board meeting, without any public participation, without many action items, most of the meeting actually went towards the service of educating the school board. The superintendent's report provides the bulk of this. He gives a monthly update, and this month he included information about the superintendent's workshops that he attends as a new superintendent. He talked about some transition going on in our central office and the training that is underway for people that are in new roles within central office. He gives a snapshot of fundraisers that will be coming in the month ahead. He'll give an overview of committee meetings that were held during the recent month, but as you'll note, as I will note, I should say, the committee chairperson will give a report as well. And something that I thought was really interesting, he gives a self-evaluation of his goal progress. He doesn't read that to the entire board. It is part of his written report, and so the board members can read it at their leisure. But when he was hired, he was given goals. His goals were in the areas of community relations, staff relations, building and grounds, finance, curriculum, and long-term planning. So for each of those goals, he has a one-page sort of in a grid view what he has done to work towards achieving those goals. So just one example, in the community relations part, he talked about how he recently joined Kiwanis and attended a couple of meetings. meetings he's held with local media since the last board meeting, and meetings he's had with some PTO groups. The principal's reports also serve to educate the board, and as I mentioned, the elementary principal and myself are expected to attend all board meetings. We are given some leniency if we have personal conflicts. So I'd say on average, I attend 9 to 10 meetings a year, and I compile a monthly report. The report is written, and we give, as principals, just a brief oral review of it. Typically, we just take one or two things on the written report, and we kind of talk those up. The reports that we do are pretty much a review of recent events that have gone on in the building and celebrate some successes we've had, and then we inform them on some upcoming events. So a couple examples from the elementary report. The principal spoke about preparations for March is Reading Month, which is coming up, and sort of from the rearview mirror side of things, he spoke glowingly about the participation rate they had at their parent-teacher conferences. In my report, a success I was celebrating was a grant that our health teachers got for some heart rate monitors. And looking forward, I was informing the board of a practice SAT opportunity that we're providing for our juniors on this Saturday. Actually, as I give this presentation, we have juniors taking a practice SAT in our building. And as I stated, if there's been a committee meeting, the committee chairperson will give a report. It's rare that we have a month without some committee meeting. Many months have more than one committee that meets. So this is another thing that can, add to the length of a board meeting if there's multiple committee chair people that have to report out. This particular meeting, the Building and Grounds chairperson gave a review of the minutes of their recent meeting. And this is a way for the board members who are not on individual committees to stay informed about what those committees are working on. This particular meeting talked about how we plan to use remaining bond money that we have left over. And things that the committee spoke about was some refinishing of gym floors, replacement of boilers, refurbishing lockers, and instructional technology needs. Another aspect of this presentation asked us to look at how the superintendent promotes the success of each student. And each meeting has an opportunity for us to do student recognition. Now, this particular meeting had staff recognition. It was a rare one that we didn't bring a student to, but typically both the elementary principal and myself will bring at least one student to the meeting to acknowledge for success. And a lot of times it's students who have made significant improvement as opposed to students who are your valedictorian and things of that nature. The other thing that our principals reports often do in terms of promoting success of each student, we keep the board informed on our state testing data. So when embargoes are lifted and we can do that, we provide those reports to our board. And we also, in the principals reports, highlight new initiatives that are underway that we have geared towards promoting student success. So from this meeting, the elementary principal spoke about a recent child study team meeting and the work that that committee did to identify students that needed some additional supports. And for my report, I talked about a new student rewards program we have at the high school. I spoke about the number of students that are in that program and how they get into that program, what the criteria is, I should say, and what benefits they have once they're in the program. And the final aspect of looking at superintendent and school board relations was to talk about how the superintendent demonstrates ethical leadership. In this brief meeting, there weren't any tangible examples that I really could pull out, but from working with the superintendent very closely since he was hired in July, I've seen him make changes to our fundraising process and paperwork in an effort to ensure transparency and to provide that we have the right checks and balances in place when money's flowing out of one hand and into the next. A recent, I'll call it a mini controversy, dealt with a coach of a volunteer travel basketball team. And like I said, it was a mini controversy for about a week and a half. The superintendent, in demonstrating his ethical leadership, he met with stakeholders that were on both sides of the issue, and that would include the coach in question. He provided follow-up to all the stakeholders that he met with, and when he did that when he had sort of reached a decision on what the school district's role was in this situation of volunteer travel basketball team. Most recently, The superintendent has sent literature to myself and my elementary counterpart, as well as he's held some informal meetings with us to discuss how we will handle anticipated student protests. And I'm also of the understanding that he has spoken personally to a couple of the board members. Of course, this is in response to the recent school shooting in Florida and the protests that have been planned nationwide in response to this. So we have spent some time talking about how we are going to ensure the First Amendment rights of our students who may choose to exercise them in a safe and orderly manner that does minimal disruption to the educational process. So that's the most recent example. I'm sure most schools across the country are having similar discussions right now. That concludes my report on our superintendent and school board relations. At this time, I'm happy to answer any questions anybody might have.